Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Hey, everybody.
Getting to what I need here in a second. All right. Well, welcome to Real Raw Health with your host, Nikki Burnett of Taste Life Nutrition and Matt Rowe, myself of Parsley Pet. During our show, we are talking about your pet's health, raw feeding, and the health our pets bring to us with love, and a little human health mixed in as well. So we want to welcome Nikki to this week's show. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you. It's always fun. I love it.
This is going to be good. So this show is literally gone to the dogs.
Oh, yeah.
So Nikki and I decided to bring our best friends with us today on the show. And as you can see, the guy sitting over my shoulder right here, that's Leo. So Leo is about a 60-pound Catahoula. And Leo, are you going to say hi? Leo, you want a treat?
Leo. There he is.
He's like, wait a second. I didn't sign up for this. I'm sleeping right now. But as we were talking, in about an hour, he'll be the frantic run around the backyard. So Tell me about your puppies, Nikki.
So my girls, they're all girls. We went from 2 boys to 3 girls. This one is Aspen. She's our small girl. She's actually the smallest of the breed. So they're Carolina dogs. Carolina dogs are also called, you can call them American dingoes. It's their nickname, or Dixie dingo. They were discovered in South Carolina and Georgia, running wild. So they're like original pariah dogs from over, in India. They were brought over, 9 to 11,000 years ago. Discovered in the 70s, only a couple of years ago, found as a breed, which I'm not okay with. I wish they would just leave them alone, because now that they are a breed, people want them. And all of mine are rescues, right? So when we got our boys, we didn't know anything about them. They were just cute puppies. We had no idea, and then discovered when they were probably 7 or 8 years old what they were. And then I was stuck. So there's an organization that I'm a part of called Saving Carolina Dogs. And so it's a rescue, and you find these guys everywhere. If you were outside of the United States, you'd still see them. They wouldn't be called Carolina dogs. They would just be probably wild dogs, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, they're super cool. They're big time hunters. So this one's Aspen, and Sage. Come here, Sage. This is Sage right here. She's our big girl. I know, I see. You can see her. This is Dave.
So wait a second, Mom. You chalk it up on that other hand.
Yeah, she's rotten. She's pretty rotten. And they're sweet girls. They are typically 40 to 45 pounds. This one's 30. This one's 30. I think she's got some Shiba Inu in her. And this one, I don't know. She's Carolina, but she's got something else in her too. So again, all rescues. And all of them are out of Texas. Every one of them.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's where, we rescued Leo, and he was at a kill shelter in Texas, and it was within 24 hours they were going to kill him. And so they brought him up here, and we saw him, and we saw the breed at a pet store. Now, this is somebody had Catahoula at a pet store as their personal dog. And then we kind of fell in love with the breed itself, not knowing exactly what it takes to raise a Catahoula. And that was something out of our ignorance. We made the decision. Now, I would never have changed it in the world. But Leo, if you see him, he's got these crazy long legs. So I'll try to, and I don't know if you can do it, but I mean, the length of his leg here really can propel him over a 6-foot fence without pulling himself over. And now he's displaying it. He's like, well, wait a second, Dad, you want me to show off? And what we didn't realize too is they're talkers. So if he wants something, so for example, if my wife and I are on the couch and we're watching TV, he'll sit in front of us and just not bark, but talk to us, like almost like, stop, get off my couch I sleep on, like you guys are bothering me. And then when we do move, he's like, all right, that's what I wanted. And so he's really, and they're stubborn as sin. So if he's out on the back deck and I want him to come in, and unless we have a treat, he'll just sit there and look at you like, what are you gonna do? Like, you're not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
So,
He looks so innocent.
yeah. And I was gonna see if Mr. Chacha would come up, and he may come up. So I also have another dog. He's a Chihuahua. He's a 14-pound Chihuahua. Ironically, he's 14 years old, and he is a ball of anger.
Uh-huh.
So, like, literally, I get growled at nightly when I'm sleeping in bed and I'm get too close. And then all of a sudden he's like, wait a second, you're not approved on the list. And my wife has dubbed him her centurion, the guard. Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
So Leo, when we go for walks, he does not like other only Labradors and Golden Retrievers. He has a disdain
Really?
for them. Every other dog, like if he came upon your dogs, he'd be like, hey, do you want to go play? And he'd be like roughhousing and rubbing heads and doing everything like a dog would do in a pack. But
Yeah.
when it comes to a Golden Retriever, he's like, okay, it's go time. I need to kill this one.
Interesting.
And so it's really, when we go on walks, we have to watch at some point too. So we'll have him in a full harness to make sure he doesn't all of a sudden off of a whim go, nope, this one's got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Petrified of small dogs.
Yeah.
So if the dog is around 14 pounds, looks like Mr. Chacha, petrified of them all.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. Like he'll walk to the other side, like not even come close. And I'm like, well, we have one. And I have to explain. I'm like, yeah, we have one that bites him. So today we're going to talk about treats and how you select your treats and what treats you give. I mean, you have 3 awesome, super healthy dogs. But, treats are just a part of, I think, most of our lives, whether from adults or kids or anything. Yeah. We want to snack on something. And so at some point, too, our dogs want to snack. And so before we did the show, it was funny. You had a bunch of treats in your hand, and your pups were like pawing at your hand. So what are you feeding?
So these are banana chips. They're just organic, dried banana chips. I get them at Natural Grocers.
Yeah.
I stick them by the door. In this thing right here. I'm getting close to getting out, or they're all just kind of chippy. Oh, sorry, Daisy. Okay, so yeah, here she goes. She's pawing at me. There's no sugar added. They're just banana chips, and they're tiny little pieces. And literally, we'll take, if we have a whole piece, I take it and cut it in half, and then just so it lasts forever. There's some nutrition to it. They're just dried. It's I mean, they love them. You can also do coconut chips. I've done coconut chips. They like those. You don't want anything that's too sugary. I don't do like strawberries or anything like that. I keep it pretty cool. But really, this is just, it's inexpensive, it's easy, it's got a little nutrition to it, it's not going to hurt them. It's easy to carry, it's lightweight. What? So yeah, that's typically what I feed. But I'll also have on hand, who just got spoiled on TV? I'll also keep on hand, I'll do like the little chicken wings and little drumsticks, little chicken wings. I give them liver all the time. So sometimes that might be a treat and sometimes it might just be part of their food. If I'm cooking in the chicken, I might take in the kitchen, I might take them out, and I don't feed them in the kitchen. I don't let them in the kitchen, and they don't always mind. But I'll take them out of the kitchen and I'll give them treats because they're eating essentially what we're eating. It's meat and vegetables, right? So yeah, I have, sometimes I'll have like the stem of kale. Yeah. They don't digest it well, but it's something for them to play with and chew on. And so half the time they'll chew it and eat it, and half the time they just take it outside or leave it on the carpet or what. Okay, stop, no more. But yeah, I mean, I give them what I would have. I have found Lowry my husband digging in this and eating them. I mean, but there's no reason not to, but.
No, it's a banana chip. It's the same. It's not going to be, that big of a difference at all from anything. So why, from when you feed a fruit product like that, fruit is, it has a level of carbohydrates in it and all that type of stuff. But when you do that, are you making that decision because it's more of a single source ingredient? Yeah, because there's a little bit of nutrition. It's high carbohydrate, but it's such a small amount that I don't worry about it. It's high carbohydrate for what it is, but they're getting, that. A sliver, right.
A couple of times a day. You know, we're not over treaters. I'm over treating now because they're in my face. And I would never sit here and just treat like I'm doing now. It just
Right. Yeah, but you know, somebody had told me a long time ago that when you feed a treat, your dog consumes it so quickly. It's more of you don't have to give much. You can give just a small little piece, and it's more of the psychological idea of it that I'm getting something. I'm getting a treat and stuff. And so really on that level of as if whether I'm training Leo, and I am not a trainer, I do a terrible job training him. I have no training capability at all. But when I do want him to do something, it is literally, I would say about the size of a lentil, like a dried lentil.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I think you're right. It is psychological. And one of the best things that I've done, because we do have, at this point, we're building a fence in the backyard. I'm so excited. But we have a fence that's about 4 feet tall, and we also have a jumper. So we're trying to build that really tall fence and hoping, because our regulations are 6 feet, but hoping that she can stay in. But they will bark like crazy at the other dogs or at squirrels or whatever. Yeah. Where they are now, if I knock on the door, they'll come running because they know they'll stop what they're doing. They'll come running because they know when they come in, they're going to get a treat. And some people are against giving treats for training. I don't care. If they stop the craziness and come to me, situation, I'm like, done. And they get little treats and they come, and it works beautifully. I don't have to yell because I hate yelling. There's no point. Yeah. I'm here. It's just, it doesn't do anything. But if I knock, it's easy and they come, and I love it. Makes me happy.
You know, from early on in my psychology classes in college, I mean, you look at, we've all heard the Pavlovian dog theory that when he rang the bell, the dog salivated. Well, as long as I attach a reward to what I want, then like you said, knocking on the door triggers that sense. And all of a sudden saliva starts to generate in your mouth, whether you see it or not. And they're like, oh, I'm going to get something to eat. I mean, dogs are crazy food motivated.
Yes.
This guy. And like really, and so now because he will run our fence, like you said, he'll bark at other dogs. We have a walkway behind us. We have neighbors next to us with dogs that obsessively bark. Like it's at a point like they need to get help. They have 3 of them. They'll start attacking each other, and like it's terrible influence. It's like living next to the drug dealer. Like you don't want your kids living next to that at all. So, and he starts to follow suit. But in order to stop him, all we have to do is walk outside, have the treat bag in our hand, say the word treat, and then all of a sudden he'll stop and he'll want to keep barking, but he knows he can run to us. But we make him come inside every time so we can get him away from that potentiality of jumping over the fence. Right. That's the last thing I need to do is chase a dog through the yard or through the neighborhood. Yeah.
No. Yeah, we've done that too. It's not pretty.
No, it's not fun. Especially when you have a beautiful dog like yours that is on that side. It's not a Labrador. It's not a golden retriever. It's something that maybe not be recognized.
Right.
So it could elicit fear because that dogs elicit fear in everything. I mean, they're the biggest, I mean, whether he'll bite somebody or not, biggest guard dog out there. So with all of it, it's really just using the treat as that positive reinforcement. I am, no matter what, like you said, I don't like yelling. I don't like grabbing their collar. I don't like horse collaring them around and, you know, smacking their butt. Yeah.
It's counterproductive, really.
It is. It's like telling a kid not to hit by spanking them.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm going to talk real quick about what I feed this guy.
Yeah.
So, Leo, you want a treat? Of course you do. All right. You got to come here if you're going to get it, though. You got to get on camera. Like a yoga dog.
Yeah.
All right, you sit. Leo, sit. Sit. We've talked about this. Thank you. Hey,
You're making it
talked
behave.
about you.
I'm like not making mine behave at all. You.
All right. So now what I'm feeding him here is, so what I use is I look for a single source organ or a meat ingredient. So
Yeah.
this brand, no, you're not getting it yet. I'm going to try to refrain from showing brands, but this brand right here, when you look at the ingredient panel, when I did buy it, all it says is that the ingredients are elk liver, elk kidneys, or elk hearts. That's it. There are no preservatives. There's nothing with it. They freeze dried. So I'm going to claim that this is a piece of an elk liver, and I'm just going to take it and just break it in half a couple times. Can you relax? All right, gentle, gentle. There you go. So, can you stand up? Up. Come on. There you go. His head almost tracks like perfectly with it. All right, so so something my daughter is actually very good at training him. So touch, touch, touch. There you go. Good boy.
That's awesome.
He's starting to salivate. So if Mr. Chacha comes up, he can get a treat too. So when I looked at getting them treats, you know, really taking a look at where I could get a treat that didn't have multiple sources. And there was only 2 brands at the local pet store that were actually only single source ingredients. So when I do look at pet treats, I avoid like your big name brands, the Purinas, the stuff. When if you flip it over and in that ingredient panel, it shows more than 3 or 4 ingredients, I avoid it, because then you're talking about preservatives, things that are going to create an inflammation inside their gut.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Another thing that I was annoyed one time. This was several years ago. But I was looking at treats and it was a single source, but it was radiated.
It was what?
Radiated to kill any bacteria and bugs, but it was irradiated. So my understanding, because they'll irradiate, I have fur all over me right now.
You can't see it. You're good.
This is all over my face. It's that time of year for sure.
Oh yeah.
So they'll do it to our food too. And so you can look at, what's up, Leo? You can look at, there's a sticker, and I don't often see it, so I'm not sure what the deal is, but they'll irradiate the food, and it's a, well, it sounds like just what it is, but it makes the molecules all come apart in that food.
Okay.
And then together all kind of crazy clustered and in different ways. So it's almost like, what my understanding is, this was from one source that I read several years ago, but it was a study. It was a long study, but I get this one falling asleep. That it's kind of, when it comes back together in these kind of crazy clusters, then the body doesn't even recognize that it's a food.
Yep.
So I think that's a problem, and you want to look out for that too. We don't want to, we want meat sources, we want organ meats, but we want to make sure that it's still from a reputable source. Never, ever, ever, ever buy if it says it's from China, because we'll too. And maybe that's why I don't remember it. Maybe it was irradiated because it came from China. I just don't remember. I know that I was just annoyed and put it away, but yeah, made in America, like you said, single source. Organ meats, I think it's great to do organ meats. Organ meats are so nutrient dense. And for those of us who maybe are not feeding raw, or maybe they're not getting organ meats, which if you're feeding raw and not feeding organ meats, you really got to reconsider. Well, if you're feeding kibble and not feeding organ meats, you should reconsider, but maybe that's for your treats, because it's that important to give them those organ meats, because they're so nutrient dense. They're high in vitamin A, high in vitamin D, and it's hard to get those sources in any other place except for the liver. And then copper. And this is something I only learned fairly recently, but that you have to, for feeding, when you're feeding raw on a regular basis, in order for them to get the copper content that they need, it's got to be a beef liver. You can't do chicken liver, chicken liver's fine, but it's not going to give them the copper content necessary that they need to meet their requirements. I have, my butcher, they have already sliced liver, and I just chunk off an ounce or 2 ounces, or I think it's an ounce per dog, and give them their liver. So,
yeah. But it's not denatured. He's not curing the liver. It is really just liver in its natural
form. Yeah, it's just frozen, sliced up liver.
Awesome. Do you ever dehydrate it?
I haven't, but I haven't even dehydrated my own food. So I want to. I have a dehydrator. It's been sitting in my basement for a couple of years.
Right. That's what happened with my dehydrator. I never really ever use it, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, when you're looking at so many of those pieces, so for example, I'm going to show you another one. So this is another treat that my wife bought. So it's not bad, but if you can see in the ingredients, if you guys are on right now,
yeah,
that it says oat flour, peanut butter, bacon, rolled oats, coconut, glycerin, which is, as you know, is fat. And so molasses, flax seed, vegetable oil, and citric acid. So citric acid is just that preservative on the end, but still it's a preservative that goes into it. Now, there aren't a lot of ingredients in this, but when I look at it, like when you look at, because it's not organic oats, it's going to have a high level of glyphosate on it, because that's when they actually go to harvest oats, they're spraying glyphosate on the oats itself. And this is the tough part about food today, even for ourselves or for our best friends that are, begging for more banana chips.
She has I wish you could see her. She has sorry to interrupt, but with both of her paws, she's holding on to my wrist and just like licking my hand like she's never eaten in her life. She uses her paws a lot, and it's a sort of a Carolina dog thing, and a lot of dogs do, but she'll grab and she'll hold on to it. I'm like, what are you doing?
She's like, well, if you hold that, there's some remnants of banana chips on there. I want it. Like, come on, you got Lazy sitting behind you. He's not doing anything. So yeah, and when you're looking at a lot of this, I mean, that's why, so much I look at single source, because I'm not going to walk down that path of having something that goes into that is, has the preservatives in it, like radiated. I mean, I think that's terrifying that they have some single source ingredients where they're radiating it to get, out of the actual process. So definitely read the label when you do to go to buy treats. I love that you are doing dehydrated banana chips. It's very easy to do. If you have a dehydrator, buy a banana, chop them up. There you go. You got banana chips. You got a great treat for your dog. But yeah, you don't have to buy really expensive treats. And at some level too is, I am not for buying brand name treats like Milk Bones.
Oh my gosh, please never buy a Milk Bone.
No, it's terrible. Like, I mean, you look at so many of those products. Yeah, of course your dog likes it. It's a treat. You've basically tricked their brain to saying, this is rare. I can't have it all the time. This is a treat product. And this is what I'm going to, this is what I get. So, but with it, they are going to go crazy for this hunk of liver as much as they are for a Milk Bone. So even when, if we go to the liquor store or we go to the bank, they will say, hey, can your dog have a treat? 9 times out of 10, that answer is always no.
Yeah. It's a hard one because people are trying to be sweet and you're like, oh, but no. And so sometimes I'll take a couple and I might take off the end and say, okay, you're good girls, and give them, because they look like bones. I'll take off that little end and I'll give them a little bone and then I'll throw it away.
Right.
So I have done that. I mean, we're certainly not perfect, but yeah, that's a hard one when people just want to be sweet to your dogs and on your dogs and give them treats and like, oh, but I know what that is. Boy, Leo.
I'm gonna find it on my shoulder, or I'm gonna be attacked, and everybody on Facebook Live is like, "Did you see that guy get attacked by his dog?" So, do you see it? Oh, he smells it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Knocked it off. All right. So yeah, I mean, there's so much. And then something that we started to do with Leo too is that making games. So making games for the treats themselves. So with everything, with being that we're stuck at home, we're still under lockdown or whatever stay at home order. They've started to lessen it, but yeah, thanks for the eye roll on that. That is correct. So yeah,
Feelings very much.
yeah, no. Like I'm not too fired up about it, but ultimately, when you're at home and your dog is starting to act up, and this is what I did learn from a trainer. So when I started to express my frustration on him really acting up, like he's going to hit what we call the witching hour, and he turns into the devil. And all he wants to do is mess with stuff, jump the fence, run around the backyard, do everything but be the calm dog that he is now. Everybody that's on is like, oh my gosh, I need to get a Catahoula. This is so rare that he's going to sit with me like this is really kind of sweet. And I wished he was this way all the time. So when he wasn't, I shared my frustration with the trainer. I said, how do I actually get him to knock that off? Or how do I get him active during that period? And they said, basically, they're like, make a game. So what I'll do is I'll take a towel and I'll fold it 15 times. So I'll lay it flat and I'll lay 9 little sections of treat or organ meat over the towel. And then I'll fold it and I'll keep folding it within itself. And then I have one of those reusable grocery bags. I stuff it in the grocery bag and then I tie the grocery bag shut. It takes him a good 15 minutes to try to untie the bag, and I don't help him. We don't aid, we don't do anything. And he wrestles and he fights with it and he throws it around. But as the trainer told me, it's really in his brain is activating so many neural pathways in his brain that with that, he is not only figuring out how to untie something, but he's also figuring out that in there is something bigger and he's got to create, and he has this puzzle mentality inside his brain, being that a Catahoula is somewhat of a herding dog. And so they're bred in, they're actually the state dog of Louisiana. They're called Louisiana Leopard Hounds, and they hunt wild boar with them.
Yeah.
So they'll take a group of 9 and hunt wild boar, but it's getting them so active and mentally. So what I've noticed after we do that in a good 15 minutes, if he hasn't figured out, the problem is he now knows how to untie something. So it's literally like 5 minutes. He's like, yeah, I got this figured out. So we're trying to like double knot it, but I mean, that would be, trying to make it possible for him to succeed so he doesn't rip the bag apart. But really with it, he is wore out after that. So
I want to see this.
Of how we do it?
Yeah, I want to see how you do it. I mean, this should be a Facebook Live maybe, but show how you do it and then show how he reacts to it. Take us in your backyard. I think that would be fun.
Yeah. No. One of the shows, like as we start the show, what I'll do is I'll lay everything out and I'll show you how I do it. I'll get my daughter involved too. She's really the master at putting that stuff together. And so really it's everything we can do. So using treats to your advantage. And really, if you know you're feeding a good, healthy treat, this is definitely going to keep them happy, healthier. It's going to keep your peace of mind down because you don't have a dog now that's just on that annoyance level where you're like, you need to go, you need to get out of the house and get into that space. So so being in there is really taking a look at a good treat. He'll take any treat. I don't care what brand it is, but it's up to me to be able to source the good nutrition for him. Right. Because I know he'll eat anything that I give him. And so with it, then it's my opportunity to go, okay, I want you to have this one. And I'm a fan of organ meat because of all of the bioavailable nutrients that are within it. Yeah, absolutely. So there's one thing I want to go back to just real quick, just to make sure that it's not missed for those who may not know, because there's such a problem when we hear the word vegetable oil, because we hear that vegetables are good for us. So vegetable oil must be good for us. And so
treat that your wife bought has vegetable oil in it, which is highly processed and highly inflammatory. So I just wanted to make sure that we hit on that. You know, there's some things in it. It looks like a whole food and it looks great, but really there's not much to it that's going to be beneficial. And, you know, over time, I know treats are in small amounts and we all know that, but we still want to be able to, we still want to give something that's going to give something to the dogs, right? That's going to feed them, that's going to fuel them, that's going to them, but not take away, because that's what vegetable oil is going to do. That's what the glyphosate on the whole foods and the grains are going to do. You know, they don't do grains. And, you know, that's just, we got to look at it that way. We want to give something and not take away.
Yep. Well, and you brought up a good point. If you feed something that isn't inflammatory, then it's causing their immune system to kick into hyperdrive. So any type of toxin that they may have gotten in their environment, or glyphosate, for example, that they're ingesting, that is actually robbing their gut microbiome and killing sections of their gut microbiome, you're just you're taxing their immune system. And I think at some level, we don't feed a lot of treats, but I have 2 kids. I can't tell you how many treats we feed in a day. If I, actually, sectioned it off, because we're feeding treats to get him in the house, to not fence fight with the other dogs, to get his activity and his behavior where we want to have it aligned, where he's not in that I'm going to go crazy mode. But do I feed him a handful a day? I have no idea.
Yeah. So, and that's really true. If there's a possibility that they're getting more than you know, then having something like what you have makes sense. Whereas they get such little tiny amounts of the banana chips that it's just not something that I worry about. But right. You gotta, your family, you have to know what's going into their little bodies.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, you've inspired me to buy banana chips, or just finally get the dehydrator out and suck it up and buy a banana and cut it up. It's not that complicated.
Not that hard, I know.
And make some banana chips, because that is going to be a much healthier snack than the one that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, has 8 ingredients on it, but it's got vegetable and it's got glycerin. Coconut glycerin to it. So it's got a preservative, it's got citric acid. So you're really, even though with all good intentions, it all looks good, but I think in small amounts, I can get away with it. But in bigger amounts, I don't think it's worth it.
I agree. Good.
Well, thank you for bringing your puppies on the show.
This was fun. We might have to do this more often.
Dogs. Maybe our studio is going to go down to being on the floor and we're sitting on stools and our dogs are running around us. Yeah. I think that's a good aspect for the show. I think we should incorporate that. So we have a sponsor for the show.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. So Rightful, of course, it's a human supplement, but it's a great supplement. It's a liquid morning and evening supplement. Originally, it was intended for, and still is intended for, pain control, pain management. And is being used in pain management clinics, but it also has in it to support the liver, support the adrenals, so it's helping with focus and it helps with sleep, and it's got some CBD in it. We've done some discussion about CBD over the last couple of weeks. All of these things are good things. CBD, we have an endocannabinoid system, and that can be a beneficial piece that some of us might be missing. So it's a great supplement. So you can go to rightful.com. Yes, rightful.com, and you can put in code TLN, like Taste Like Nutrition, TLN20, and you'll get a discount on it. Give it a try, because it's good stuff. I love it. I was on the radio show earlier and I was like, I'm out. It's time for me to get some more because I just ran out. So that's on my list of things to do is to grab some.
So Rightful does have CBD in it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. So then really, when you're talking about inflammation, I know I couldn't sleep the other night. So I think it was Monday. I couldn't, like midnight. So I went and did 1,200 milligrams of CBD to just really try to calm my nervous system down to sleep. I did, you know, thankfully, but yeah, I mean, there are some definite benefits for using a product like that, and especially being that it's a company that you believe in and that you take it is paramount in today's day and age.
It is. And, you know, that's why you know, I do my best to only promote, talk about the products that I think are the best, which of course is why we had Sean on last week and had Sean on my show this morning, because he has a CBD company and it's a good company, and they're doing the best they can. And so, and I, you know, Rightful is going to source the best products that they can. And so knowing that they have the data, they're doing more studies, and that they have the best sourced products, that's what's important. It really is. So, you know, going to Amazon, going to these places and assuming that somebody else is going to give you what you think you're getting is not always smart. We've got to be our own advocates with the things that we put in our mouths and on our body, and be really, really careful. Always look at the ingredients, whether it's you're putting it on your skin, putting it on your dog, in your mouth, in your environment. You know, these are the things that leads to inflammation and disease, or have the potential to, if we're not paying attention. And that's what we want to, that's the stuff that we really want to pay attention to. So, yeah, it's a good company. Earth Buddy is who we're talking about with Sean Zire. So that's a good company. And there are lots of good companies. And quite honestly, I don't know this, I'm just throwing it out there. If you're not comfortable with it, if your Treat is a company that you think is a good company and they have the best product, you know, I don't think that there's a problem in showing people so people know. But if you're not comfortable with that, then I think that that's fine as well. People can do the research. But yeah, I like to try to take the guesswork out, because that's what I want people to do for me. Because I don't want to have to do it. I'm like, just do it for me.
That's right. And you know what? And that's why, you know, with a lot of Nikki and I's conversation, when we started talking about stuff, we were talking about brands we believed in and brands we like. So when we talk about Earth Buddy, when we talk about Rightful, when we talk about these brands, it's not just because they want us to say something about them. It's because we believe in them.
Yeah.
And if I would give it to my kids, I would give it to my 90-year-old grandmother. Like, you look at it from all these aspects, there's nothing about it. This is not monetary. This is not anything. I haven't gotten a check from either of them. So, I mean, really, when you look at it, it's really saying, okay, what brands really can I wrap my arms around? Which ones do I believe in? And which ones would I go to the mat for? Which ones would I defend on all these levels? And so, especially when so many brands out there are not reputable, but they have huge marketing dollars that allow them to really promote any way they can, and they go to the edge of the law and what they can say, and they do. And so, yeah, it's, as advocates, as individuals that are in this community, it is our responsibility to say what's right, what do we believe in, what do we believe is right, and what do we believe is wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we want to thank you guys for being here today. Thanks for letting us bring our puppies with us. Leo, thanks you. And your Carolina dogs, their names are?
So we have Sage is the big one, and then we have Daisy, and then we have Aspen. And so one of the things that I think that I'm going to do is tag Saving Carolina Dogs, because I think that they would like this. So I want to do a quick shout out again. I don't mean to just keep rambling on, but I do want to shout out to Saving Carolina Dogs, because they have done a ton for this breed. And for those, they're, like I said, they're all rescues. They're not going out and getting breeds. They're not promoting breeding. There are some organizations that are. They're promoting, you know, getting them out of the high kill shelters and bringing them to foster. You know, one of mine, she came in, she's heartworm positive. We treated her in as a natural method as we could. So it was much easier on her body. We didn't have to pin her up or any of that stuff. And of course, she's still here. But, you know, all of my girls I found through Saving Carolina Dogs. They're an amazing, really supportive company trying to do everything that they can for these dogs. And I just love them to death. And so if anybody's looking to rescue, this is a great organization destination to rescue from. And they're super picky. They don't just, give their dogs out to anybody, and they keep up and keep track, and there's a relationship there. So yeah, good group of people.
Well, and you make a great point. Rescue your dogs.
Yeah.
They will love you to the end of the earth because they know they're being rescued, even though, yes, they get to be a little bit of a pain in the butt, but that's our opportunity to be good pets.
It's true. It's true. There are lots of breed. If you just want to breed rescues. Yeah, there's no reason for us to be breeding these dogs like we do. It just creates a situation like we're in now, where we've got dogs in Texas, these high kill shelters, and there are hundreds of thousands of dogs that are dying every day because we think that we need to breed these animals, and we yeah. So these girls are, well, they're all from Texas. That's all I know. I don't know anything about them except they were found and now they're with me. So
Awesome.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, this has been a great show. Thank you very much for putting all this and bringing your puppies to it. So everybody have a great weekend and have fun feeding your pets. Have fun feeding the treats, making games, doing all that you can do. You will be amazed at how smart your dogs are and how they can actually figure out how to untie things and open things and do it. Yeah, they don't have opposable thumbs, but they got these awesome jaws that can make it happen.
I can't wait to see this.
Yeah. Well, no, I'll get it set up for the next show. Maybe we start the show with the next one.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Cool. Well, hey, thank you guys very much. Thanks for being part of it today.